Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic, right, which is being uh, introduced across the organizations, not only in specific to IT industry, but across the different industries, which is sustainability, right? So what is that and how sustainability can be calculated for 365, which is Microsoft 365 and Azure cloud infrastructure, right? Now, many companies are going through their different initiatives in order to achieve their sustainability goals for in next 3 years or 5 years, right? And majorly the big enterprises, right? They do have their enterprise sustainability goals that they wanted to achieve in order to be in the industry for next decade, or probably they wanted to be ready for their future, right? Because there would be different scenarios where different industries, different organizations, different rules and regulations would come up, and those would expect organizations to follow their respective sustainability goals, right? And those would come up showing that what is your cloud usage and footprint of your usage, right? And basis on that, we should be able to go ahead and do the calculations and take the appropriate actions in order to be or in order to fall under the sustainability goals, right? And that is when there is a calculator that Microsoft has built for Microsoft 365 as well as Microsoft Azure, right? And which is going to calculate the carbon emissions for each organization's IT infrastructure, be it cloud or be it on premises, right? And majorly for the cloud environments, including 365 and Azure infrastructures, right? So whatever the usage is being used across the cloud platform, right, it is going to calculate and is going to give us that details, right? So I'm going to show you how we can go ahead and integrate that with the Power BI application, and then probably we should be able to get our footprint usage, right? Basically, the carbon emissions of our 365 and Azure environments, right? So I'm going to share my screen and show you how we can simply enable or make a use of that calculator, which is going to show us our carbon emission footprints, right? And how we can calculate and take the appropriate actions, right? All right, so you can see that I'm on the portal or a website, which is Microsoft Sustainability Calculator, which is going to help us to analyze our carbon emissions of our Microsoft 365 and Azure infrastructure, right? Now you can see this is a big list of blog or with the details about it, right? So you can see the details about this one, sustainability calculator for this particular organization. And of course, I'm not going to read it out because it's a big one and going to take a lot of time, right? And you can go through it, understand it, and learn about it. And basis on that, you can take the next steps, right? So let's go ahead and look at the different calculators for both of these workloads, right? So here you can see this is the main page where we would see the emission impact dashboard across Azure, Microsoft 365, and even this page also has a lot of details that we can go ahead and understand and learn about it and calculate our carbon emissions or emission impact on Azure as well as Microsoft 365. So here you can see there is also an API for Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability API that's currently in preview. Now, many organizations would want their footprints to be ingested across different platforms, and you use it to get the visibility and take the appropriate actions for their sustainability goals to achieve them in near future or long-term goal or maybe a short-term goal. So here I'll walk you through about those two different tools or calculators. Here you can see download the application for Azure and download the app for Microsoft 365, right? So if I have to do it for Azure, I'll simply click on it and it's going to redirect to this page where we have to get this application installed, right? So once it is installed, it's going to ask me to enter my organization ID. So it has already detected that account, and that is why it is simply taking me to that location or that application, right? So now it is simply allowing or simply moving it to the login page, and it has logged in, right? So now once it is logged in, it will simply show us a dummy data. It is not going to show us the complete data because, okay, so it needs to be installed. Okay, it's installing the application. You can see the top right, because that needs to be installed. Without that, it is not going to have that calculator capabilities, right? Similarly, let's go back and install it for Microsoft 365. So here you can see there is a get option, get it now, and this will also go to the sign in process. And once the sign in is completed, it is going to simply install that application on that respective account. And you can see it is logged in now. At the top right, you should see the respective ID, right? And based on that, you can also see this pop-up showing that your app was updated. Go to app. Similarly, it is going to show the same for Microsoft 365. Now I have these applications, right? And you can see that it is loading a dummy data or dummy dashboard because it's just a sample data. It does not have any real-time data to show us, right? And basis on that, it is going to give us a clarity, right? You can see the complete details. But to see the real-time data, we need to make sure use our organization's appropriate tenant ID, right? And if I have to do that, integrate, or if I have to attach it, then I have to add or connect to your data. That means here is the prompt or option which says connect your data, right? Which is going to simply integrate with our subscription, right? So let's go back to the M365 and install this application. So it's installing one, and let it install for a few minutes, probably 1 or 2 minutes. And then to integrate that for Azure, I'll simply click on this one and you would see this one where it is going to ask us enrollment ID or billing account ID, right? So these are the details which we need to be able to get that details ingested in this application, and it's going to help us to calculate all of that details, right? Similarly, if I have to go back to the 365, right? And I would simply go to portal here and I would have to pick up the tenant ID. And from here, here is also a sample data you can see. And from there, we can see the complete details basically. So this is a sample one. We don't have the complete or correct appropriate details. But to see that, we need to integrate it with the tenant ID. So I'll simply put that tenant ID here and we need to follow the steps. I'll simply follow the steps, and here's the option for us to authenticate with either OAuth or whatever it is, and then hit that sign in and connect. So this is going to authenticate. Basis on that, it is going to simply verify that identity, and you can see refreshing data, right? So it may take few minutes to refresh that complete details and show us the exact amount of data, right? And it's also going to show the emissions per scope past 12 months, as well as what is the details or what is been used, right? From greenhouse point of view, as well as from the emission and carbon emission footprints, right? So here you can see that the emission MTCO2e in the percent wise 95.5, right? And each month's duration. So this is the overall reporting, but if you have to see the carbon intention, you can click on that one here and it is going to show us the complete details. Then emission savings, how much we have saved on the emissions and carbons and all of that details would also show up here. So carbon emission saved, so 99.92%, right? And then carbon emission saved in driven instances or distance. So this is going to show in ml and kilometer uh, parameters, and similarly low, medium, high, right? GHG preparation report that can also be produced and shared across the different stakeholders. And when there is an audit happening, these reports would help organizations and companies to produce and share those with those respective auditors. Then usage report is also there, which we can see, and basis on that is going to fall under that capability. Here it shows Microsoft 365 active users, right? And basis on that, it is going to show us the complete, along with carbon accounting practice, including scope 1 and 2. And you can go through it and learn and understand, because that is something which really be going to helpful, because Microsoft cloud platforms are falling under the greenhouse practices as well as sustainability, and that means everything is going to be validated and verified and is going to provide appropriate actions as well as whatever the steps we are doing or taking in order to be sustainable and reduce the carbon footprints, right? And then there is more details to know and learn about it, and there is bit information about legal as well. So this way we can simply go ahead and go through it and produce. Even there is an option for us to export in PowerPoint and PPT, then subscribe to this report as well. So it's going to show us over the email, and print this page along with embed reports, generate a QR code. So this is going to be pretty useful for different requirements and different needs, right? Let's say I have to export it in PowerPoint presentation so that I can show it to different teams or different organizations within the same organization, right? And that's going to help us, right? So click on export. Now it is saying or exporting this in, right? And it is going to take a bit of time, and then it should be ready for us to go ahead, right? So that was Microsoft 365. Right now, we wanted to go through the Azure one, right? So here in Azure context, we need to provide enrollment ID and billing account ID. So these would be created and available for the organizations who have enterprise level agreements with the subscription or with the Microsoft Azure, right? And they would provide us these details. Also, if not, then even if we have Microsoft MCA subscription, right? Microsoft customer agreement, that would also be able to allow us to create account ID and provide that one. And we can provide that details over here and should be ready for us, which says that MCA, MPA, and CSP with Azure plan can also be providing these required details, and we should have that with us in order to produce this reporting capabilities to see our emission impact dashboards, right? So once we have that, we would be able to go ahead and get all of these reporting, right? So basis on that, we should be good with knowing and can simply go through these reports, right? So the page which I showed you, this one, where it has a lot of details to learn and explore these two different tools, or the simply those are the calculators, and which is going to provide us the complete details and insights all about this one, and is going to help us basically, right? Even there are some of the documents which I would simply show you. You can see apps for Azure and M365 as well. You can just simply go through each of these and learn on these capabilities, right? And here is a document for Microsoft 365 to learn and explore more on emission impact through Microsoft 365, right? Because, and it also has some of the uh, applications. So these are the applications which are included in this one, along with what are the different prerequisites and roles that are needed to be able to read the data, right? So this data would be put into this application by those respective permissions, and we should be able to go ahead and get that one, right? So definitely you can go through this whole document, learn it, understand it, and make a use of it for your carbon emissions and different requirements, right? And the next one here is for Azure emission data, right? So which is going to be carbon optimization in Azure context, and which is going to show us the complete details, and we can produce the different reporting and capabilities for internal as well as third party organizations to be able to go ahead and do the audits, right? So this is how it is, and I would recommend you to go through this one, know and learn and understand and explore more options, and definitely is going to be the one which is going to take you the next steps to be able to be in sustainability goals and to achieve those as well, right? So yep, that is what I wanted to show you and talk about it, and let me know if you have any questions, any doubts, or any thoughts around it, and happy to help and collaborate on anything that you wanted to know and understand, right? And don't forget to like this video, share it across your friends and groups, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. So you get to see every new video whenever it is uploaded. Right? So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.